A very good afternoon to you. You're watching KTN Weekend at 1. My name is Najma Ismail. Police in Ukunda, Kwale County shot dead 2 suspected members of the Al-Shabaab terror group. The 2 are suspected to have returned from Somalia, where they are said to have joined the terrorist group. Coast Regional Police Coordinator Robert Kituru said police officers responded to a tip-off from the public and went to a house in a corner, Ya Musa in Ukunda. Upon asking the suspects to surrender, the 2, however, engaged the police in a shootout. A policeman was injured in the incident and is receiving treatment at the Pandya Memorial Hospital.
Officers tried to call those people inside the house, but they did not respond. Instead of responding, they came out firing, whereby one of my officers is injured and is now at Pandya Hospital. So other officers responded, killing the 2 of them, and recovered the 2 pistols.
Now, 4 people died last evening after a bus they were traveling and rolled along the Kisumu-Busia highway. The bus was heading to Nairobi from Busia when the accident occurred near the Kisumu Golf Club.
Roundabout.
Hii barabara hiyo roundabout sana hiyo roundabout imetengenezwa vibaya. Hiyo roundabout inafaa weke kitu light kana kwamba mtu akitoka ile side anaona hiyo light, anaona kuna something like a roundabout. Most likely ukitoka hii side every time usiku unapata basi imezama kwa hiyo roundabout, maybe kuna ndani sana imezama hapa.
Hapa kuna roundabout. Hii roundabout imetengeneza na kuna light. Inaonyesha mtu akitoka huko aone light, there's a roundabout. Gari inaweza kuja na speed yoyote bora ipite.
Now, the police recruitment saga has brought back to the fore a fundamental question about who advises the president and whether indeed the president's men are hanging him out dry. His order to defy the courts and have the recruits report to camp triggered such a massive backlash that Kenyans wondered where his advisors were. Patrick Amimo reports.
I also further direct the Inspector General of Police to take urgent steps and ensure that the 10,000 recruits whose enrollment is pending promptly report for training at the Kenya Police College in Kiganjo. I take full responsibility for this directive.
That directive immediately attracted criticism from judiciary because the court had yet to make a ruling on the fate of the recruits after it cancelled the exercise. The Constitution Implementation Commission also demanded that the due process of law should be followed and warned the president's directive could be in contempt of court. But the chief government legal advisor defended the president.
The president intends at all times to enforce the Constitution and the law. And that is why the consultations we are having are consultations about how we can achieve expeditious recruitment of the police.
After much pressure, the president caved in.
Together as a commission, we have made the decision that there is need for us to follow due process. And in following due process, we are recruiting 10,000. That is our function.
The question is, did the president's advisors get it wrong?
And immediately you see a firefighting mission from the Attorney General, a firefighting mission from the National Police Service Commission, and basically it is to save the president from embarrassment. April 20 will happen before the ruling on May 8. But now they won't have violated any ruling by the High Court.
When the National Assembly passed the Contentious Security Laws Amendment using the tyrant of numbers in December last year, the president quickly signed the laws despite protestations of the opposition.
I want to take this opportunity to thank our National Assembly for having the presence of mind yesterday to pass the bill despite the deplorable conduct of a few individuals.
The opposition moved to court to stop the enactment of the security laws. The government had argued the laws were urgently needed to counter terrorism, but concerns had been raised by opponents that some sections of the act were in breach of the Bill of Rights. The High Court suspended the laws, but when the Attorney General appealed the decision, he lost.
The country's security agents and law enforcement organs can still make full use of the existing laws to keep the country and its people safe.
During the Mpeketoni attack last year, for which Al-Shabaab militants claimed responsibility, President Uhuru Kenyatta rubbished Al-Shabaab's claims. He stated the government's position on who was behind the Mpeketoni attack may be based on information from his security advisors.
Evidence indicates that local political networks were involved in the planning and execution of the heinous crime.
Following the Garissa University College attack, President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed the nation and vowed tough action against Al-Shabaab. However, a cross-section of Kenyans wondered why the presidency had not visited Garissa or even Chiromo mortuary to empathize and sympathize with the bereaved as the country mourned. Owing to the mounting criticism, President Uhuru Kenyatta on Thursday decided to write to each of the families of the victims of Garissa attack to express words of comfort and sympathy to the families.
Yes, advisors should be the first to prompt the president to be there, but also there has to be a personal touch to it from those who are in leadership to always be the chief consoler.
The Jubilee administration has had presidential advisors in almost each and every sector that matters. Analysts are wondering why the president seems to be making so many goofs.
3 possible scenarios could be occurring. One is that the advisors are giving the president good advice, but the president is ignoring. That's hypothesis number 1. Hypothesis number 2 is that just like in the Moi era, in which as an advisor you are supposed to conform to what Moi wanted done, maybe the advisors are conforming to what the president wants. And 3, the third hypothesis is that maybe the president is too much of his own man, and therefore he acts or he speaks, and then in case of any negative consequences, he tells the advisors, mop up.
Patrick Amimo, KTN.
Some of the victims of the Garissa terror attack were laid to rest yesterday, a week after the Somali-based militia group Al-Shabaab attacked the Garissa University, killing 147 students, including 2 guards. Area leaders who attended the burial urged the government to boost security on our borders to avoid such calamities in the future.
It was a sorrowful day for the family of Selfa Aoko Wanda, a 21-year-old victim of Garissa terror attack that left 147 people dead. Selfa was laid to rest in Navokolo constituency, Kakamega County. Speaking at the burial, the Kakamega County Governor Wycliffe Oparanya urged the government to remove Kenya Defence Forces from Somalia and instead guard our borders.
Nikiwa kwa ile kamati la mawaziri ile la Mwai Kibaki, na wakati huo tuliamua kwa sababu Al-Shabaab wanakusumbua, askari wetu waende huko Somalia, na wakaenda wakamaliza kazi yao. Sasa nasikia wako huko wanachoma makatu. Ni wakati sasa hao warudi kwa mpaka, wangojee mpaka.
The area MP has rubbished the move by the government to compensate the victims' families with 100,000 shillings alongside provision of coffins and transportation of the bodies, stating that the amount was too little to help the affected families.
Ambayo at least the minimum, that is nothing. It has helped us only to do what is possible. Mimi nitakwenda kule bungeni kusema hivi, na nataka mnisaidie na muunge mkono ama mkatae. Naenda kuomba serikali kuu ifanye mswada kubwa ambayo at least the minimum amount somebody should be paid out of terrorism attack should be 5 million shillings.
The area leaders urged the government to relocate all the civil servants from the volatile northeastern region. Mumbwa Mwoki, KTN.
Now, she was sexually abused at a very tender age. She became a social misfit and started abusing and peddling drugs at just standard 5. On several occasions, she was expelled from school. The story of Stella Busire, a drug addict turned doctor, is indeed compelling, if not inspiring. Take a look. She never knew that people would one day talk to her with respect. Her exact words, she thought she was written off, one who was beyond repair. But now, 29-year-old Stella Busire, a successful doctor at the Avenue Hospital, has achieved so much that she looks back at her horrific past with a smile on her face. She takes us through her grim past, which was filled with rebellion and hopelessness. Deep inside Kibera slums in Gatwekera area, Stella Busire went through it all. From sexual abuse to drug trafficking, this young lady endured it all.
The first time I was sexually abused was by my cousin, the son to my father's sister, at class 4.
The abuse, coming from abject poverty, a missing father, a mother who was constantly sick, and cold, hungry nights. Stella was the perfect target for drug peddlers.
I started initially by ganja tea. Ganja tea is the tea which is made from the leaves of the bang itself, and then I upgraded into smoking the real deal, and then now I even went further to becoming a peddler.
Stella became very aggressive and violent in school. Her teachers noticed a rapid change in her behavior.
I'm like Stella. Yes, Stella was my pupil in Kibera Primary School. Yes, she was very stubborn. She used not to come to school most of the times. She could run away from class. But then she had to leave the Kibera.
A lot of social misfits going on. I had been sexually abused when I was very young. And all these factors compounded together. For me, I had to look for a way out. And my way out was smoking.
At class 5, what place are you looking for?
Oh, the highness, Najma. The highness is great. Because at that particular point, you do not care about the problems of the world.
After being expelled from Kibera Primary School, Stella and her siblings took to the streets since her mother could not afford to take her to school. Life became unbearable.
And we had to go look for food. And one of the ways we would is kunokuliza auntie kunogalia jana tusaidie. Some of these house girls were kind enough to be able to give us food to eat.
Several months later, Stella's father appeared from nowhere and took her back to school. She was admitted at the Joseph Kangede Primary School, where she still continued abusing drugs and selling it to her fellow students. It was until Standard 8 that she was discovered.
Boys and girls could follow her everywhere, so we wondered why that was happening. Then one time, after having very many problems with her, we decided to find out what was happening to her. And it was quite unfortunate when we discovered that she was actually on drugs and she was selling the drugs to the children.
With the second expulsion, Stella couldn't go back home. She fully embraced the streets. She had given up on everything. She knew there was no way out for her.
I joined a group of girls where we rented a house and we started staying together. And all we did was smoke, drink and party. There's no partying there. You see, when you say party, it looks very classy. It was just smoking, drinking, and that was it. And of course, there was issues of also prostitution, which was a lot in the place where we were.
Stella continued with her reckless life, and as the KCP examinations approached, the gang leader where Stella was staying forced her to go back to school and sit her exams.
I respect this lady so much that I do anything for her. She's deep into what we were initially in. It's been very difficult even for me to convince her to come out, but I'm not giving up on her. Nancy actually looked at me and told me, unajua KCP watu wanaenda kufanya. You must go and do KCP. And I told her, mimi nikafanya. Nikamwambia, look at me. I am where I am, lakini niko na karatasi ya class 8. Wewe utaoneshana nini?
Due to her drug peddling, Stella sat for her KCP exams in an isolated room guarded by an armed police officer, and when the results came out,
I stopped there, looked at it, I said, what? I actually have gotten 516 over 700. That day we smoked our hearts out, Nancy and I, in jubilation.
Word went round that Stella had done well and her father once again came to assist. He paid half the fees for her secondary education at the State House Girls High School.
First it was culture shock. The culture shock of, let's start from the basics. Human needs, food. I'm having breakfast, lunch and supper. I thought this was not really. I mean, you're used to having one meal in a day. That was it. Here you are, you're given loaf. There's even blue band in terms of chroma. Then on Wednesdays they have eggs. Dinner they have chapati. I'm like, I think I am in a dream. I need to wake up from this dream.
Stella was lucky enough to get a bursary. KCSE came and went. Stella scored good grades, but she had to put food on her family's table.
I went looking for work, okay, at Mama Brian's. So I got a job as a house girl, and I worked. She used to pay me 3,500.
Mama Brian later realized that Stella was a very bright girl. She then organized for a better job for her as a tour guide for an Italian journalist.
And she went and specifically aired out that part of me in the national television of Italy. And people are asking how they would be able to assist me. I told them I do not want even a cent from me. I told her, all these people who want to send me money, if they're sending me any money, I am going to assist these women and their children. Because for me, I have a paper. And this paper, I just want to get to the next step. I want to get to the university. Then she told me about the Rita Levi Montalcini Foundation, a very, very competitive foundation where they educate women in Africa. Told me, do your application. That's why I did my application, and I was taken.
However, being the breadwinner and taking care of her sick mother, she could not leave for Italy.
Fortunately, one of the board members who was sitting in the foundation knew the founders of, the owners of Avenue Healthcare, Professor Nilesh. So they, in a way, they were doing a certain research. They communicated, oh, we are bringing a girl in. I said, no, let her apply in the University of Nairobi. You know, even those days, hata haufikiri mambo ya university application, nothing.
The professor's wife, Diana Patel, who is the managing director at Avenue Healthcare, and Etta Ligale, the general manager of operations, took Stella under their wings.
I started being exposed to women in positions, women in leadership, women who've made it. I started seeing mentors. These are the people I could not be able to see when I was in the slum. Muko ghetto, muko confined. Muko confined. The most you see is news on TV. And hata sasa ni nani inalipa na nani akona TV pia, okay? So you do not get that opportunity to be held, to be mentored into the right path or the right profession.
Unfortunately, Stella lost her mother during her final year at the University of Nairobi. It was a difficult time for her, but her mother's death made her thirst of becoming a doctor more. And in 2012, Stella graduated with a Bachelor of Medicine in Surgery. Today, Stella is a doctor and manager with Avenue Healthcare, a mother and a wife. Najma Ismail, KTN. Welcome back. On matters beyond our borders, some 10,000 ruling party supporters marched in Bujumbura on Saturday in a show of unity ahead of a presidential election in June in the Central African nation. Burundi is deeply polarized and tensions are rising even within the ruling party because President Pierre Nkurunziza wants to stay in power despite a two-term constitutional limit. Moving on to sports now, the Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards match is just not a 3-point match. Pride is at stake, and while AFC Leopards may have been performing dismally, the Shemeji Derby has bragging rights written all over it. Gor Mahia's coach Frank Nuttall wants to lend his first derby victory, while Zdravko Lugarusic will be relishing the prospects of the meeting his former employers for the first time since he became Leopards coach.
Green and blue colors will decorate Nairobi streets ahead of the much-anticipated local derby, pitting two of the country's oldest and most followed football clubs. A meeting between Gor Mahia and FC Leopards evokes memories of years gone by, but still whets the appetite of their followers today. Since their first meeting in 1968, the two have met 78 times, with Leopards getting the better of their arch rivals with 27 victories. Gor Mahia have won 22 times and 29 matches ended in draws. Sunday's encounter, in which KPL and security apparatus met over in Nairobi on Friday afternoon, is expected to be explosive. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sport.
Well, that is it on the Weekend at 1 this afternoon. My name is Najma Ismail. Enjoy the rest of your day.